was pregnant, but my husband left me for another woman. Years later, he found out the baby was his. The warm glow of the early morning sun brushed softly against the curtains, illuminating the room where once love used to breathe so freely. Her fingers glided across the cold side of the bed where he used to sleep, and for a fleeting moment she imagined his warmth, his scent, his voice whispering promises against her skin. But reality hit hard. He was gone. He had left her, left everything they built, for another woman. And he didn't even know she was carrying his child when he walked away. She remembered the night he pulled away after their fight. A fight that started with a lie, something small and insignificant, but it grew into a storm that shattered their foundation. There were whispers in the air, messages on his phone, perfume on his collar that didn't belong to her. When she confronted him, he didn't deny it. He simply said he found something more. And she stood there, crushed, broken, her heart bleeding with every breath she took, too stunned to fight back, too shattered to scream. Her fingers trembled as she tried to tell him she was pregnant, but the words wouldn't come. Her throat closed up, and he walked out, leaving her alone in the house they once dreamt of filling with laughter and children. Hungary became her refuge. With nothing but her suitcase and a fragile heartbeat inside her, she flew across borders and buried herself in a small village where nobody knew her name. She worked at a cafe, served strangers with a fake smile, and cried into her pillow every night, whispering lullabies to her unborn child. The pain was unbearable. But she promised herself she wouldn't let her child suffer because of someone else's cowardice. As her belly grew, so did the ache inside her. She longed for his touch, his lips brushing against hers, the way he used to hold her after their passionate nights, whispering how she was the only one for him. Now those memories were poison. Each flashback was a knife, each vision of their steamy, endless nights, a cruel reminder of what she lost. The night she went into labor, she was alone. Rain lashed against the windows, the power flickered, and her cries echoed through the empty apartment. The pain was beyond words, stretching her body and soul. But she fought through it, screamed into the void, and finally held her baby, a part of him but hers more than ever. She cried as she kissed the baby's head, promising to protect them with every beat of her heart. Years passed. She raised her child with fierce love and strength. The child had his eyes. Every time she looked into them, her heart cracked all over again. But she never let the pain show. She was a warrior now, beautiful, bruised, and powerful. Her figure had matured, curves that told stories of survival, a body that had endured desire, betrayal, motherhood, and solitude. And when she looked into the mirror, she didn't see a broken woman. She saw a flame that refused to die. But fate isn't finished when you think the story is over. One random evening, while attending an international culinary event in Budapest, she was introduced to a famous guest chef. The air left her lungs. He had grown more handsome, but colder, older, like the past had hardened him. His eyes widened as he recognized her. Her breath caught in her throat, but she stood tall, steady, unforgiving. He tried to speak, but she walked away. She wasn't ready. Not yet. But destiny kept pushing. They ended up in the same private lounge later that night. He followed her, finally catching her hand. "Why didn't you tell me?" he asked, voice trembling. "Tell you what?" she replied coldly, trying to hide the shake in her hands. "That I was a father," he whispered, his face pale. Her eyes widened. "How do you know?" Then he revealed it. He had hired a private investigator a year ago after he saw a viral video of a woman saving a child from a street accident in Hungary. He recognized her face. And the child had his eyes. His curiosity turned into obsession. He collected photos, tracked her movements, and eventually discovered the truth. She felt violated, trapped. But the twist was she had a camera too, hidden in her apartment. The night before he left her years ago, someone had broken in. She never knew who, until she watched the footage later. His new girlfriend had snuck into their home and planted his phone with fake messages, photos, and scent, just to break them apart. She told him everything. He sat in stunned silence, eyes wet, fists clenched. The rage in his voice cracked as he whispered, "She trapped me." They argued, fought like wild animals cornered by fate. She screamed, punched his chest, cried until her body collapsed into his arms. "I begged you to love me one more day," she sobbed. "But you chose her lies." Their lips found each other through the pain. Desperate kiss. Angry, aching, longing. Their clothes fell to the floor. Years of pain melted into skin on skin, touch on touch. His hands roamed every inch of her body as if mapping a land he thought lost forever. She moaned under his touch, her back arching, body trembling as he took her, again and again, all night. He whispered how sorry he was, how much he missed her, how no one ever touched his soul the way she did. She clawed at him, bit his neck, begged and cursed him at once. It was love, hate, sex, passion, war and healing, all tangled together in sheets soaked with sweat, tears and blood. The pain was exquisite, her body trembling under his power. Her legs shook, her moans muffled by his chest as he moved inside her with intensity that made the earth spin differently. His sighs stretched her open until she screamed, lost in ecstasy and agony. It wasn't just sex. It was emotional collapse. It was years of loneliness climaxing into one violent storm of intimacy. She cried afterward. Not because of the pain in her thighs or the bruises he left on her hips, but because she still loved him and hated that truth. He kissed her tears away, held her as she drifted in and out of consciousness, whispering apologies and promises. But in the morning, the camera she forgot to turn off had captured everything. And someone else was watching. A phone vibrated in the other room. A message popped up on his device left carelessly near the nightstand. "If you don't want the footage of last night sent to your wife, meet me at the cafe in 1 hour." She read it before he did. And suddenly she realized. He never divorced the woman he left her for. Her world spun. Her lips parted, eyes wide, fingers trembling. The man in her bed was still someone else's husband. She sat on the edge of the bed, the early light crawling over her bruised thighs, her heart pounding like a war drum inside her chest. The text message replayed in her head like a curse. "If you don't want the footage of last night sent to your wife, meet me at the cafe in 1 hour." Her blood ran cold. Her mind spiraled into 1,000 directions. The man who tore her world apart, who she had just given herself to all over again, was still married. All the pain she had buried in Hungary resurfaced like a fresh wound. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. Instead, she rose, quietly walked into the bathroom, turned on the water, and stared at herself in the mirror. Her reflection didn't look like a victim anymore. She looked like a woman on the edge. Her fingers traced the bruises along her collarbone, memories of a night filled with lust and betrayal. Her lips were swollen from kisses that meant nothing now. He stirred on the bed, still asleep, his body marked by her nails, his breathing soft. She walked back in, stood over him and whispered, "You lied again." When he woke up moments later, she was gone. The cafe was quiet when she entered, the scent of roasted beans and betrayal hanging in the air. At the back table sat a woman in dark sunglasses, lips curled in a smug smirk. The same woman who had ruined everything years ago. The one who planted fake evidence. The one he had left her for. And now she was holding a phone. "You're prettier in person. And wetter on camera," the woman sneered. "Quite the reunion last night." She didn't flinch. "What do you want?" The woman leaned forward, venom dripping from her words. "I want to destroy him. And now you can help me." A plan began forming. A plan that would hurt, would twist hearts, but also bring justice. For days she pretended. She smiled when he called, moaned when he touched her, welcomed him back into her bed like nothing had happened. She played the role of the broken woman forgiving her past. But beneath that mask, her heart turned to steel. Every night their passion grew hotter, darker. He kissed her with desperation, touched her like a man starved for years. His sighs filled her again and again, making her scream his name, cry into the pillows, beg him to stay inside her just a little longer. She obeyed, submitting to every desire he had, seducing him into madness. Her lips whispered fantasies, her nails dug deep into his back. Her body writhed under him with perfect surrender. And each time she recorded everything. Hidden cameras, hidden mics, secret folders on encrypted drives. It wasn't just revenge. It was a storm of truth coming for him, for all the lies, for abandoning her and their child. Then came the night of confrontation. She invited him over for dinner. Candlelight, rain, soft music, seduction in the air. He came with roses, kissed her forehead, and told her he wanted to start over. That he was filing for divorce. That he couldn't live without her. They made love again, this time slower, deeper. He kissed every scar, touched every inch of her like she was a holy scripture. She whispered how much she wanted him, how she forgave him. He entered her and didn't stop for hours, whispering his sins, burying himself in her over and over until they both collapsed, breathless, skin-soaked, bodies trembling. She waited until he slept. Then she opened the envelope. Inside was a file. Photos. Bank records. Messages. All proving that he never intended to divorce his wife. That he was playing both sides. That everything, once again, had been a lie. She stood silently over him, eyes filled with betrayal and disgust. The man who made her bleed, cry, beg, and love, was a coward hiding behind charm and sex. But she didn't scream. She walked to the safe in her closet, pulled out the USBs, the footage, the recordings. She packaged everything and handed it to the woman he left her for. Let them destroy each other. And as dawn rose, she drove to the edge of the city with her child asleep in the back seat, and tears rolling silently down her cheeks. But it wasn't over. 2 days later he showed up. Blood on his shirt, rage in his eyes. "You betrayed me," he screamed. "You ruined everything." She stood in front of him, calm, unshaken. "You ruined me first," she whispered. He lunged, not to hit but to beg. Fell to his knees. Grabbed her waist. Cried against her stomach. "I love you. I was going to leave her. I swear. Please don't take our child away." She didn't speak. He kissed her thighs, desperate, trembling, sobbing. "I'll die without you." Then she showed him the footage. All of it. His face paled. He saw the moment his wife confronted him. Saw himself on tape. Saw the blood on her face after the fight. The bruises. He broke. Right there. Screamed. Cried. Hit the ground until his fists bled. But she didn't comfort him. He had crushed her once. She wouldn't let him do it again. And that night, as she lay in bed alone again, she smiled. Not out of cruelty, but out of survival. She had taken her pain, her betrayal, her broken body, and turned it into power. She had fought back with sex, fire, and brilliance. Weeks later, the child's birthday came. She stood by the cake, camera rolling, smile radiant. And then, a knock on the door. He stood there. But this time, behind him, was his ex-wife. Bruised, beaten, but with a gun in her hand. She walked in silently, trembling. "You ruined both of us," she said coldly. "And now you'll pay." The scream was deafening. The gunshot rang through the apartment. Her ears rang, her breath caught, the child screamed. Blood. So much blood. But it wasn't hers. The man fell to the ground, lifeless. His ex-wife collapsed too, sobbing, dropping the weapon. Police came. Sirens. Flashing lights. She held her child tight, tears finally flowing. Not out of grief for the man who died, but out of release. He was gone. And she was free. The final twist. The hidden footage from that night went viral. Uploaded by the ex-wife's anonymous channel. The world saw it all. The betrayal. Tears. Sex. Power. She became a symbol. A woman who lost everything but rose from it stronger. And as the world debated her story, she held her child close and whispered, "They can watch all they want, but they'll never know what it felt like to survive him."